Are you a man worthy of respect? Most men want respect, but they live in ways that make them unworthy of it. They want to be taken seriously, but they act in ways that make this impossible. Not because they are weak, but because their habits have made them unreliable. They break promises in private and expect strength in public. They say they will wake up early, then they don't. They say they will start tomorrow, then one hard morning, one bad mood, one moment of discomfort, and their standards disappear. That is how self-respect dies. Not in one single moment, in small betrayals, repeated. You lose trust in yourself every time your mouth says one thing and your life does another. Every excuse chips away at something. Every delay weakens something. Every time you choose comfort over what you already know must be done, you lower your own value. And the man who cannot trust himself, who cannot even respect himself enough to follow his own word, will always struggle to command respect from others. Because respect does not begin in other people's minds. It begins in the private relationship you have with your own word. If you do not believe yourself, your posture will show it. Your eyes will show it. And your life will show it. That is why some men speak loudly and still feel small. Because commanding respect requires more than desire. It requires discipline. It requires self-mastery. It requires a life that proves you can be trusted by the man in the mirror. Because respect is not something you ask for. It is not something you talk your way into. Respect is earned, and it is earned long before anyone else feels it. It is earned in the mornings when you do what you said you would do. It is earned in the nights when nobody is watching and you still choose discipline over comfort. That is where respect begins. Before any man commands respect from the world, he has to build self-respect in the dark. And that is the part most men avoid. They want the appearance of a respected man without the inner life of one. They want to be admired, but they have not yet become reliable. So they perform. They talk too much. They seek validation from people they do not even admire. They become addicted to being liked by people who don't even like themselves. But being liked is a weak goal for a man, because a man who lives to be liked will weaken himself to keep people comfortable. And ultimately, a man who needs to be liked will eventually abandon his purpose to protect his comfort. Because purpose will ask things from you that approval never will. Purpose will require a man to be disliked at times. It may require a man to go through a season of isolation. A man chasing his purpose is often misunderstood, and most men cannot handle that. So they keep adjusting themselves to fit the room and softening their truth so they can stay accepted. The moment a man starts shaping his life around being liked, he stops being led by purpose and starts being led by reaction. He says yes when he should say no. He stays where he is outgrown. And that weakens a man more than he realizes. Because purpose requires the strength to walk a road that not everyone will understand. It requires the discipline to keep moving without constant reassurance. And a man who cannot tolerate being disliked will never go far in anything that demands sacrifice. Because the path of purpose is lonely at times, It will separate you. It will make certain people uncomfortable. But that's a good thing. A man is not here to be approved by everyone. He is here to become aligned with what he knows he must be. And once that happens, he stops bending for acceptance. He stops asking who will like him. And instead, he asks a better question. Does this align with my purpose? Does this align with my standards? That is the man people eventually respect. So, if you want to command respect, don't chase other people's validation. Become a man worthy of respect. Build the habits. Build the patience. Chase your purpose. Because what is truly worthy of respect does not need to announce itself. A man who is always trying to prove he is strong usually is not. True strength speaks differently. It does not rush. It does not beg. It stands. It chooses. And when it moves with intention. That is why the silent chapters are important. Not because silence alone makes you powerful, but because silence reveals a man's character. Some men cannot be still because stillness exposes them. It shows them the broken promises, the scattered mind, the emotional dependence. But a focused man learns to be quiet because quiet is where he sharpens himself. He stops arguing with people committed to misunderstanding him, and that restraint becomes visible. People feel it before they can explain it, because calm under pressure is rare. Anyone can look composed when life is easy. Anyone can sound confident when nothing is being tested. But pressure reveals what a man is made of. When plans fail, when people leave, when life stops moving in your favor, that is where character is revealed, and respect is either earned or lost, not in comfort. There is no respect in ease, because ease asks almost nothing of you. A man becomes memorable by how he stands when life stops being kind. Does he panic? Does he complain? Or does he stay grounded? That is the man who earns respect. Not because he is perfect, because he is governed. In those moments, a man's discipline becomes visible, and without that discipline, a man will fall apart. This is why discipline matters more than speeches. Discipline is proof. Proof builds self-respect, and self-respect changes the way a man carries himself. His posture changes because he no longer lives for another's approval. His energy changes because he is no longer divided between what he says and how he lives. When your words say one thing and your life says another, people feel the contradiction. They may not say it, but they feel it. People can tell when a man who talks about discipline has none. And they can also tell the opposite. People can tell when a man does not chase attention because he is building purpose. That kind of man does not need to ask for respect. This is the difference between boys who talk about potential and men who prove it through discipline and action. Because potential means nothing without conduct. The world is full of men who could have been more. But respect is not built on what you could have done. It is built on what you do repeatedly. Every action is a vote for the man you are becoming. And over time, those votes build a man. Either a man with standards or a man with slogans. So stop asking why respect has not arrived. Stop seeking approval from other people. Instead, start asking better questions. Have you become a man who is chasing his purpose? Have you built the discipline required for the life you want? Because that is where it begins. Not in their eyes, in yours. A man who respects himself moves differently. He does not need to advertise his value. He does not need to force people to notice him. He is too busy building. That is what commands respect. Not one speech, not one public display. A life. A standard held long enough that people begin to feel, whether they admit it or not, that this man is not easy to move. That is power. The kind that does not need noise to be recognized. So if you want to become a man who commands respect, stop trying to look like one. Build one. Build him in the small decisions. Build him in the silence. Because that is where real men are made. And if you keep living that way, eventually things start to change. You stop needing people to confirm your worth, and instead, you become focused on your own purpose. That is when your presence changes. Not because you tried to seem important, because you became a man worthy of respect. So stand up straight. Keep your word. Master your reactions. Train your body. Sharpen your mind. And raise your standards. And do it long enough that discipline stops being something you try and becomes something you are. Because respect is not something you get. It is something you become.